Hello, my friend. In this video, we're going to be going over the best social media platforms for musicians and music artists based on my own experience and a whole bunch of research I've done as well. So with that said, let's jump right into it. So jumping right into it, the best social media platforms for musicians are YouTube for evergreen content and search engine optimization, TikTok for virality and organic reach, Instagram for developing fan relationships, Facebook for its advertising platform, and Twitter for networking and communicating. Properly using one social media platform and consistently publishing content to that platform is a lot of work, so I'd recommend starting with one of these and not experimenting with the others until you feel ready. But with that said, in this guide, we'll be going over all of them individually so you can figure out which one you should start with or which one you should expand to. And before continuing, I wanted to mention that I've also written an article on this topic, as you can kind of see right here. So if you'd like to follow along, or if you prefer the written word format, you can simply Google best social media platforms for musicians, Best Friends Club, and you'll be able to get access to it for free. So jumping right into it, the first one I want to talk about is YouTube, and this is the best for evergreen content and SEO, which is search engine optimization. So YouTube is great for musicians because the content you create can be easily discovered for months and years after you've created it through YouTube's recommendation algorithms and its powerful search engine. Unlike other social media platforms, the content you create on YouTube does not simply disappear or become irrelevant after 24 to 48 hours after posting. Although YouTube does have a feed that shows new content, a big part of YouTube is the fact that it has a recommendation algorithm that can make your content appear to fans who like similar artists and genres or are watching similar videos as the ones that you make at any time. In addition to this, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, second only to Google search, which means that potential fans and listeners can also discover your content by just searching for it. This means that all of the time and effort that you put into creating content can result in content that serves your music career by finding and nurturing fans for years and years to come, instead of just for the first 24 to 48 hours of posting. Because YouTube focuses on more medium to long form content, it is also a lot easier to really connect with an audience and develop the artist to fan relationship, since you're spending more time with them really. So let's also not forget that it's possible to get monetized on YouTube, meaning that you can actually get directly paid for the content you create by allowing YouTube to place ads before, after, and within your content. So what does it take to grow on YouTube as a musician? So with that said, there are several challenges for musicians and artists that are looking to grow their music on YouTube, starting with number one, which is that it usually takes consistency over a long period of time before YouTube will start recommending your content to potential fans and listeners. So it is best practice on YouTube to upload a new video once per week, and you will likely need to maintain this publishing schedule for at least 2 to 3 years before you start seeing any meaningful results. Second is that coming up with ideas and then filming, editing, and uploading all that video content can be very time consuming and challenging. It can take a lot of time and effort to create video content regardless of what social media platform you're creating for, any video content for, but coming up with ideas can be tough on its own, not to mention all the work that goes into the planning, filming, editing, and uploading your final video. It definitely takes a lot of work to get stuff up on YouTube all by yourself. And third is that you will likely need to create content that goes beyond just your music, and I think this is where probably a lot of musicians and artists will struggle with, but it is highly unlikely that you'll be able to just post your music or even interesting performance videos of your music to YouTube and find success. Most of the content that does well on YouTube is content that is providing very specific value to the audience, which is usually in the form of educational or entertaining content, stuff that people are actually looking up, right? So the challenge here is to provide education or entertainment that does well on YouTube, but also isn't too unrelated and disconnected from your actual art. Vlog or lifestyle types of content also don't perform well unless you already have a large audience that cares about you, or if there is some concrete educational or entertainment value baked into it. So that's really the tough part there, and I could see why that would maybe turn people off of YouTube. It's hard, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of time, and you have to kind of move a bit beyond your music stuff and find other ways to kind of have relatable content. So it can be challenging, but the benefits are awesome, and it does pay off in several ways, so it's definitely worth looking into. Next, we're going to move on to TikTok, which is the best for virality and organic reach. So TikTok is great for musicians because it is the social media app that is kind of like in right now, and due to the fact that TikTok is extremely generous with how many people can discover your content organically. It's very common for songs to go viral on TikTok, resulting in thousands and thousands of TikTok creators repurposing a song for their own content, which can then expose your music to hundreds hundreds of thousands of new fans and listeners. Going viral on TikTok almost always results in a significant uptick in stream counts for the song that's used in the video on Spotify and other streaming services, which is awesome. And even if your content does not go viral, TikTok is currently very generous with its recommendation algorithm, like I mentioned, and it can be easy for your content to be put in front of thousands of users, even when you're just starting out. Maybe not millions, but still thousands is pretty freaking good. So what does it take to grow on TikTok as a musician? So it's best practice to post on TikTok. It's best practice to post on TikTok multiple times per week, with at least 2 or 3 times per week being kind of the lower limit, and 1 to 2 posts per day being the upper limit. The main challenge I see for musicians and artists wanting to grow on TikTok is actually creating content for the social media platform. The most common type of content on TikTok really appears to be kind of entertaining content in the form of like skits, maybe not dances so much anymore, but definitely like skits and funny stuff and that kind of stuff. And creating this type of content is likely not for everyone and can definitely be a big turnoff for a lot of musicians and artists, including myself. I don't really F with it. In addition to this, TikTok is definitely a company that has ambitions of profiting off of ads, so it's likely that they will eventually start limiting the organic reach of posts in the future in an effort to get creators to pay for ads to reach users. So it's kind of the same way how Facebook used to be really generous with how when you do a Facebook post, everyone would see it. Now, like 2% of your followers will see it because they want you to pay for ads. And they do the exact same thing with Instagram, slowly limiting that organic reach so that creators need to pay money on their ad platform to get the reach that they would desire. And speaking of which, we're going to move on to Instagram, which I find is the best for developing fan relationships, and it's also pretty good for networking too. So Instagram is great for musicians because of the fan relationships that you can develop through the content you post and from communicating with fans through comments and direct messages. It's also possible to find new fans and listeners by using Instagram's hashtags and having your content appear as recommended content in the feeds and discover tab of people that don't quite follow you yet. Because Instagram is a highly visual social media platform, it is great for documenting your journey as an artist and showing off your unique talents. Instagram is also a key part of the Facebook advertising platform, meaning you can also send ads to anyone who engages with your Instagram profile organically or use your Instagram content as an ad to find brand new listeners and fans. So what does it take to grow on Instagram as a musician? The main challenge you will face as a musician on Instagram is that the organic reach of your posts is constantly dropping over time. Instagram limits the organic reach of your posts in an effort to make its content creators pay for ads to reach their followers, as mentioned earlier, and organic reach on Instagram is consistently declining, and at the time of making this video, it is estimated that less than 10% of your followers will see your content when you post it. This, in hand with the fact that most Instagram posts only appear to users within the first 24 to 48 hours of it being posted, means that it's possible to spend a lot of time and effort creating posts for Instagram for no one to see them. In addition to this, it can be challenging to convert someone from someone just chilling on Instagram to an actual fan that wants to engage with you in your music. So with that said, there are new things being added to Instagram all the time. So right now, the big thing is Instagram Reels. And basically, whenever Instagram or a company like this adds a new feature, they're generally going to be more generous with the reach that they give out because they want to have more people use that new feature. And then having creators actually engage with it is a great way to have everybody actually use it. And then slowly, they're going to probably bring it back down again. So there are opportunities right now with Reels, and elsewhere, it's still really great for like networking and developing relationships and that kind of stuff. And it's still okay for like posting somewhat, but it's mostly in the Reels and it's mostly in the messaging and networking that really Instagram's really powerful right now. Moving on from Instagram is its older brother, I guess you could say, Facebook, which is mainly only good at this point for digital advertising. So although it's possible to reach fans and listeners organically with Facebook, this platform is almost only exclusively useful to musicians and artists for its advertising platform. At the time of making this video, it's estimated that less than 3% of your followers will see your content when you post it on Facebook. And I mean, like, who's really using Facebook anymore, really, right? But although this pattern of limiting organic reach happens with any social media platform that has ambitions of profiting through ads, so TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, etc., it's clear that Facebook almost exclusively wants you to pony up cash to use their platform at this point. Although it sucks that the trend is that you have to pay for your content to reach people, it's also true that Facebook ads are extremely powerful and can be used to reach people that are likely to enjoy your art far beyond your current follower count, since there's a lot of really great targeting options, and Facebook ads is really useful, super useful. So why Facebook ads are great for building a fan base. Facebook ads provide in-depth targeting options, flexible budgeting, and has an algorithm that can optimize itself to get the most results possible for the lowest cost possible. Things are changing constantly in this space. So right now there's been like an iOS 14 update that's made it a little bit harder to track. The results aren't as good. It's definitely getting more expensive, but it's still super useful. And I can imagine that Facebook's going to be adding some changes here to make it a lot more useful for advertisers in the future, since it's their bread and butter. They have to. It's a necessity at this point. So let's take a look at these benefits of Facebook ads in a little bit more detail before moving on. So first is that there's in-depth targeting options for a very, very wide variety of interests in addition to basic demographics. So basic demographics would be like age, gender, location, that kind of stuff. But some of the interests that you can do range from like brands to genres to artists to products and beyond. So there's a lot of ways that you can really find that ideal fan and listener. You can also scale the ads and control your budget really nicely. So the more you spend, the more results you'll get. You can spend as little as $1 per day if you'd like to, and you can scale up to as much money as you want per day, compared to like social media where you can really only maybe post one time per day before it gets annoying. In addition to that, there's Facebook's learning algorithm, which can optimize all by itself to get you the most results possible for the lowest cost possible. You can also place people that engage with you into custom audiences and retarget them, which means showing them your ads at a lower cost than it took to reach them in the first place. So the second time you can follow up and it's a lot cheaper and more effective. And lastly, you can leverage the Facebook algorithm to create what's called lookalike audiences, which are 1+ million people that are similar to the fans inside of those custom audiences. So you can kind of use that machine learning to find even more of those people automatically and using, AI and all that cool stuff. So all this means that you have the power to send highly targeted listeners over to your Spotify profile. You can then leverage Facebook's tools and algorithms to find you more of those fans for less. And then you can increase your chances of tripping the Spotify algorithm to find you even more fans for free. So it's kind of like a nice cycle there, which is why it's so effective and so many people have found it useful, including myself. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how you can use ads to grow your music career, there's a free Facebook ads for musicians course that I've created, and you can check it out in this article here. But moving on, we're going to go to the last one, which is Twitter for networking and communicating. So Twitter is great for musicians who want to directly communicate with not just fans and listeners, but also with other artists, musicians, labels, journalists, and music industry folk in general. It can be super easy, quick, and low effort to get out several tweets each day, updating your fans on your journey as an artist and giving them some precious insight into your thoughts on things and what interests you as a person. So it's also really great for nurturing and developing the fan relationship as well. It can also be just as easy to communicate with others on Twitter to start building relationships and getting your name out there. So in particular, Twitter is a fantastic networking tool, since so many music industry folks from labels to journalists are usually quite active on this social media platform. And although it may not be the most effective platform for directly promoting your music, it still is a fantastic tool for letting people know what you're up to and for building relationships. So it can still be quite useful. So what does it take to grow on Twitter as a musician? So it is best practice to post on Twitter multiple times per day, with at least 1 to 2 times per day being the lower limit and 3 to 5 times per day being the upper limit. In addition to this, you will want to be opening the Twitter app frequently so you can look for opportunities to network with other music industry folk or to engage with your fans. So moving beyond these 5 best social media platforms for musicians, I also want to briefly go over how to build a fan base on social media with something called recurring content. So the best way to build a fan base on social media that wants to support you and your art is to consistently release new content by combining a recurring content strategy with a content calendar. So the main difference between a recurring content strategy and a content calendar is that the strategy is more high level, so it's like the type of things that you'll be posting. And the content calendar is a lot more specific, so exactly what you'll post and when. So to create a recurring content strategy, you'll want to follow these steps. Clearly define your ultimate goal as an artist or creative. Look at the content you're already creating in your daily life, basically. Then you're going to want to brainstorm content types or themes that you'd like to test. Then you're going to want to look at what content types give you the best bang for your buck. And then 5, you're going to want to create your content and actually put it onto a calendar. So if you want to learn a little bit more about how you can build a fan base on social media with a recurring content strategy and a content calendar, you can check out the free guide that I put together called How to Build a Fan Base on Social Media for Music Artists. That will be in this article as well around here on the page. If you want to check it out, I definitely recommend it. It's pretty in-depth and will get you right on the right path with all that. And then lastly, one thing I want to mention is the 6 steps to developing an online presence for independent musicians and artists, because social media is a big part of that. And basically, when you're building out your social media, how many platforms you're on, what you're also doing is kind of building your online presence, your brand online, basically. So let's dive into this concept real quick. So a musician's online presence is made up of three parts: their website, social media, and digital ads. Being active with all three helps develop your brand and grow your fan base by giving potential fans a reason to follow you. Here's an overview of the 6 steps you'll need to go through to develop your online presence. 1, you're going to want to define your ultimate goal as a creative. 2, you're going to want to choose your main social media platform. 3, you're going to want to commit to a recurring content strategy. 4, you're going to want to create a website to future-proof your online presence. 5, you're going to want to start experimenting with digital advertising. And 6, you're going to want to test and iterate on your strategy. And then eventually, actually, you can get into some more advanced stuff called batching and scheduling to kind of optimize things, automate things, and save a lot of your time. So if you would like to learn more about these 6 steps in more detail so that you can start seriously developing your online presence as a musician, I have another free guide that you can check out in this article right here called Online Presence for Musicians. It'll take you through all 6 of these steps, and they are definitely quite related to developing a recurring content strategy and content calendar, which is absolutely what you need to do on social media if you want to actually build a fan base. So with that said, hopefully you found that useful. Hopefully you have a good idea of what the best social media platforms are for musicians and how you can kind of get started with those, as well as kind of even higher level of building a content strategy for these things. If you check out the article, you'll definitely learn that, as well as how you can use social media to start developing an online presence. Again, link in the article there to really dive into these things and really start building it out for your artist or brand or whatever you're working on. So hopefully you found it useful. If you did, like and subscribe and all that good stuff. Other than that, good luck on your next release, and I will see you in the next video, my friend. Have a good one.